You know, I used to be afraid of failure. And then I failed a lot of times, and you eventually get there if you refuse to quit. I was trying to invest in what they now call regenerative businesses, and I've been doing it for about 6 years, and it's a really hard thing. So it's something that adds biodiversity and cultural diversity in the developing world often, and it's hard. And I was talking to somebody who'd been with the National Park Service a couple of years ago, and he'd been around the start of it. He says, well, you failed here, and you failed here, and you failed here, and you failed here. And it's like, yeah. And he said, so how do you feel? I said, well, I haven't figured out the right thing yet. When I started out, being an entrepreneur was not cool. I just couldn't deal with the boss. And I've only worked for other people like 5 years out of 45 years, and I only had, the 2 times it worked well, my bosses didn't know what I should do, but they thought it was important and they wanted me to figure it out. The one time I failed as an employee was I was a middle manager at a magazine, and I would bring my editors things back to them to be corrected, and they said, that's not your job, you execute our ideas. And I said, well, my ideas are better. I'm a really good leader, starter, and I'm discovered I'm one of the worst middle managers you'll ever see, because their ideas aren't better. So at least that's my perspective. That's my mindset. You have to have a certain kind of insanity to be an entrepreneur and take that kind of risk. I had a fellow who was an analyst in an impact fund come to me and said he really wanted to be an entrepreneur recently, and I said, well, are you an effective incremental change agent within your large organization? Well, yeah. He says, well, have you ever just had to tell the boss they were wrong, they need to do it your way? And he said, no. He says, well, you're beset by sanity. You should not be an entrepreneur. You should be someone inside. You can work within that large system. And so, I think too many people are becoming entrepreneurs and discovering that's not really who they are. My wife and I, as I mentioned, we had 8 businesses, 1 failed. It's just sort of so happens that the one failure didn't involve my wife. It's a coincidence, of course. But, she productizes my ideas, and she helps me toss out the ones that don't make sense. And she wasn't involved in the one that failed. And we use this 3-part metaphor that's worked for us. I bring in the wild horses, and she can say, that's one we can ride today. That one needs some seasoning in the pasture, and that one will fight with our stallion. And so if you're the visionary, you have to have somebody who can put constraints around the visionary. My wife's, one of her gifts is she can figure out the worst that can happen and de-risks the deal and builds things around it. And so neighborhood economics is now far enough along, and we figured out the model that she's getting really engaged. My ideas have to be coalesced, and I bring in the first money, and we have the first customers, and then she said, okay, well, that one's real enough. Let me see how I can productize that thing. And so, the visionary has to deal with somebody who can productize the vision and then and tell the visionary no. I'm Kevin Jones. I'm the founder of Socap. We're the social capital markets. It's the largest impact investing and social enterprise conference in the world.